Welcome, everybody, to episode 16, I believe. Starting to get to the point where I'm starting to lose track.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I guess this is a good thing. But episode 16 of the Daily Motor Podcast. Here with Chris and our assortment of vehicles. This week we have three little, our usual three cars and an assortment of old vintage car and driver magazines, as you can see.
Yes.
Laid out. Are there any highlights right here in front of us? There's that yellow car.
Well, I've just been enjoying reading all the ads out of these because that's like something that I really enjoy. This is a Monza.
Are you going to take up smoking? Is that what I hear?
Yeah, well, almost every ad in these 70s and 80s car and driver magazines are for cigarettes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way to go. Is have to start smoking.
Start smoking.
Yeah. When I was growing up, NASCAR. I used to watch a decent bit of NASCAR, and it was the Winston Cup was the main series, and I just never it always sounded so normal to me. I was just like, yeah, I don't even know that was like a cigarette manufacturer for a long time or company. But yeah, it was just like, race car driving sponsored by smoking.
Yeah. Well.
Which I guess is better than drinking, which the Busch Cup was the second tier down. It was cigarettes, beer, and then Craftsman Tools was the truck series.
My favorite is the Piston Cup.
Yes.
From Cars.
Yeah, that was very clever. Yeah, what is it now? I don't even think I know. It went to Nextel Cup for a while, and then Sprint Cup.
Oh, well, now they've transitioned from drinking and driving to texting and driving.
Texting and driving.
So they have to promote that.
This week, we've humbled ourselves a little bit, at least this current week. But last week, we were partially humbled. Two white cars, the Genesis GV70 and
Sport
the
Prestige.
Nissan Kicks. So let's start off with the Genesis. Quite a bit to talk about with that car because we'd driven the 2.5 liter version of that car. Still, I think, also in Sport Prestige trim. Although with Genesis,
Sport Advanced.
It was advanced? Okay.
So one tier below the Prestige.
But if I remember correctly, at least with the GV80, the 2.5 Prestige doesn't get the same...
What on earth? Please explain what is happening right now.
This is just the Google Chromecast photos reel.
Out of all of the images they could have chosen, a horse
on its back.
I didn't know horses could do that. I thought they did that when they died, like they lay down because horses don't.
But I think they lay on their side. This is like mid-horse incident.
Like it fell?
It seems to have had a crash.
Getting ready. Oh, okay.
I think it's mid-crash. Anyway, yes, there's a horse in the background for those of you listening. For some reason, I've chosen it to only be on the Google or the Daily Motor logo, but sometimes it changes its mind.
Go horse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, for some reason, the 2.5 Prestige doesn't get the same equipment as the 3.5 Prestige, at least with GV80. I don't know if that's the case with GV70.
Yeah, you get like slightly different wheels and things and steering wheel and stuff. Although
you can't get things like I think you get nicer leather.
I don't know that you can even get a Sport Prestige.
Maybe not with the GV70.
Yeah.
With the GV80, it was very confusing because we asked for a Prestige package and they gave us the 2.5 Prestige GV80, but it didn't have the same stuff as the 3.5 Prestige.
Okay.
And then Bradley's car reviews in the comments was all mad that we didn't have the proper, fully kitted out.
Are we allowed to say that? We're allowed
GV80.
to say that name on the podcast?
Why not? Yeah,
okay.
It happened. It's documented.
Build or reserve GV70.
So Chris is going to build up a GV70 quick. I guess we could be doing it on the screen, but
no,
I will continue to
keep talking and
serenade your earlobes while Chris figures this out. Either way, this one was fully kitted out at just what, $60,000?
The website's broken.
Of course it is.
Yeah, so this one was $65,000.
$65,000 for a car that starts in the 40s.
I was going to say, keep in mind the GV70 starts at $41,000, and all of them come standard all-wheel drive, and you get that 2.5 liter four-cylinder with like 300 horsepower, or just about as standard. So
we've determined that neither of the Genesis powertrains have the character, smoothness, and charisma of the BMW powertrains, but the 3.5 liter makes more power. It's definitely more powerful, but that doesn't make it more exciting or worth
60 more horsepower.
That's it, really, for a whole extra
65.
liter.
Yeah.
It gets worse fuel economy. Did you happen to compare what the highway fuel economy you got in the 3.5 was to what we got in the 2.5?
I got
what we got in the 2.5?
I got 26.5 in the V6, but I didn't see what you got in the four-cylinder.
Let me see
That was before my days of fuel economy testing.
Sure. Do daily. This is a great podcast. We're both just screwing around on our phones.
Yeah. So let me see here. Package or
so only 2 miles per gallon better with the 2.5 liter.
Yeah.
That's not a very good number for that size of vehicle. You'd think looking at the shape of it, it'd be so like smooth and aerodynamic.
It's very aerodynamic.
Koreans aren't as efficient as the Germans. They don't need to drive as fast in Korea. It's no fun.
Oh, true. Okay.
Yeah. German cars always do very well at these high-speed tests because they're tuned to do 100.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I really went into this to the experience this week of driving the GV70 thinking that I was going to absolutely love it in every way, and I really just emerged from it thinking, wow, the 2.5 liter was such a better value. And also, I'm sorry to say that I kind of was getting that whole like Hyundai Kia thing where you get into it and it's like, oh, this is great, and then you drive it for a week and it's just like, okay, like it's all right.
Yeah.
It's not as bad with the Genesis, but the powertrain is just doesn't really have any character. It doesn't drive as well as a German competitor. It looks a lot better, in my opinion.
It does look great.
And that alone, so the looks and the driver aids are the two things that would sell the GV70 for me. Interior comfort, driver aids, interior styling, and exterior styling.
Well, you say driver aids, but you actually had some consternation with the driving aids.
So I know.
And I did as well. I noticed this too when I was driving.
It's really disappointing because Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, I always praise them on how well they do with their driver aids. And the GV70 is no different, but they added one, which made it worse.
More is not always better.
More is not always better. So, obviously, with all these cars, we have our normal steering assist, lane keep assist, whatever. It does a really good job keeping you in between the lanes. Goes straight down the highway. It'll go around, corners and whatnot, as long as there's a line for it to follow.
And it does it for a long time. It lets you not touch the wheel for a minute
30 seconds, minute. Yeah, it'll let you go a while. It's not like a stupid Subaru where it beeps at you every 3 seconds. But they've added lane change assist to these newer cars, or this is the first one I've driven that's had it. And it's extremely irritating.
It is.
Because you have to like finesse it just right for it to work. We were driving the Mercedes S580 last year. Similar system, but better, because all you have to do in the Mercedes, put your turn signal on, the car gets over. That's it. It's done. In the Genesis, you have to be touching the steering wheel, but in a specific way, because you can't be holding it too tight, because then if you try to help the car in the lane change, it cancels it. But if your hands aren't on the steering wheel, it won't do it at all. So you have to have that fine middle ground to where you're just sort of resting your hands on the steering wheel.
Gently caressing the wheel.
We're in Michigan, right? So if there's a little pothole or something in the middle of the road and it judders the steering wheel, which in effect moves your hands, canceled.
And on top of that, unlike the Mercedes, if you do try to just manually change lanes yourself, put the partway blinker on and then turn over, it freaks out because it thinks you wanted to do a lane change, like an automatic lane change. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, I'm canceling. I'm like, I don't care. I know how to change my own lanes. I know.
And I've never dreaded changing lanes more in any car. And this system, I don't quite understand it, because I've never struggled changing lanes. Have you? Do you ever find it hard to go like this?
Mm-mm. It's one of the easier elements of driving.
It is. It's one of the easiest things in the world. So especially
with that car that has the blind spot monitoring right in the thing. So you hit the blinker and a little camera comes up on the gauge cluster and actually shows you what's in your blind spot. So you don't even need to move your head.
Yeah. No, but they've
made it worse.
They made it worse. They did. Yeah.
Beautiful car, though.
Gorgeous car. I
nice
think
lines.
Best looking. Oh, that line in particular. The one that goes from the hood through the doors all the way back and then fades out into the taillight.
Yeah.
Stunning. Yeah, it is a stunning car. I think the best looking in the segment.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I feel, and Nathan and I kind of were talking about this before, and Chris is kind of.
What's this one doing right here?
Ooh. Slammed. Oof, look at that.
Man, that is, well, I don't know if that looks like Photoshop maybe, but
it is virtually. Yes.
Excellent.
It is Photoshop.
It's almost like it's like a burgundy color.
Mm-hmm. or dark gray maybe.
Yeah. Such a beautiful car. I had multiple people swiping up on my Instagram stories asking me if it was a Bentley.
This quite looks like the Volvo XC90. Similar headlight design and stuff.
No, yeah. Volvo has the Thor's hammer headlight.
I know, but it's still, look at the...
Although that wouldn't be an insult because the XC90 is a very good looking car too.
I know it's different, but it's a similar kind of...
Yeah, I guess so, except...
The two split,
except the Volvo is all one unit, whereas in the Genesis it's two separate lights with body color in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
What was it? Oh, yes, Nathan and I, and you've kind of been noticing it as well. I liken it to Samsung phones in that they're beautiful, tons of features, the benchmarks and everything is way on paper better than everything else, 16 gigs of RAM and stuff. But in practice, you spend a month with one or whatever, and you're kind of just like, it's just very much in line with the rest of the competition.
Yeah.
Some people still might prefer to take the Samsung or whatever, and you might get a much better deal. But like an Apple phone might have half the processing power and everything, but just execute so much better, and that's the equivalent of like a German car.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Genesis looks like a much bigger deal. That's a Volvo.
Yeah.
But the Genesis looks like it's a much more impressive vehicle, and it is quite good. But that doesn't mean it's the end all be all only buying that segment. I could see the justification for getting. Speaking of that, what else would you get in that category?
BMW X3. Wouldn't have a Q5 because Audis are just... I'm falling asleep thinking about it. The Mercedes GLC is in dire need of an update because it's from 10 years ago.
How about a Volvo XC60?
That's a good choice. Volvo XC60, Lexus NX.
Yeah, we're getting an NX
BMW
today,
X3.
So that'll be a nice comparison.
I like the way the GV70 looks in and out better than any of those cars. I feel like that's such an important thing nowadays. And Chris, the Topher, made an interesting point to me yesterday when we were out in the GV70. He was like, "You're going to be seeing a lot more designs like this in the future because now that everything is going over to EV, they have to differentiate themselves somehow because EVs all just drive the same, right? So that they have to make this extravagant design to separate themselves from the competition." So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more cars that look just weird and funky. And you can see that with the new Toyota AEX12 EV. But I mean, I think we're going to be seeing it a lot more. So
here's US News' rankings, and we like using them just as kind of to show everything in the class.
What? Why is the GLC number one?
I am a bit surprised that the GLC is number one. I mean, it's nice.
No.
But they say well-appointed cabin, sleek technology.
I think my view on this car is tainted because the press car was horrible because it was a base model with zero out. It didn't even have a sunroof.
Yeah.
It was like totally. It didn't have no heated seats, no sunroof. It had like. Did it even have adaptive cruise control? I don't think it had. It had nothing.
It was forgettable.
And this is where the Genesis, the $50,000 Genesis, is really good because that Mercedes GLC that we drove was like $50,000.
Okay.
The first Genesis GV70 we drove was like $50,000, and it's like night and day.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Driver aids, luxury features, interior comfort. Like it's just there's just no comparison. So
and that gets into where I've always had a little bit of a struggle with Genesis as a brand, especially with cars like the G70. People would say, "Oh, it's a great deal," and I think to myself, no, not necessarily, because if you just need a car that has good safety features, reliable, gets you from point A to B,
have a Tucson,
maybe has a few fancy things, heated steering wheel, nice sound system. There are so many options that are not luxury. There's no reason for you to be buying a quote-unquote luxury vehicle.
Yeah,
you can get plenty. I mean, the Nissan that we had this week, heated steering wheel, heated seats. It's $25,000, and it's
such a hot steering wheel. I'm excited to talk about that.
Right, but no one needs a luxury vehicle. So once you're stepping up to that class, you're talking about wants.
Oh yeah.
And when it comes to wants, why not just pay for exactly what you want? I don't care if you buy one brand over another just because they have a color you like.
Right.
At that point, it's a luxury car. Do whatever you want, dude. I can't.
No,
judge
nothing
you
in
for
this
it.
class is a good deal.
Yeah.
It's not. That's not the way that you.
Yes.
I mean, you could.
It should be desirability.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So we also see Acura RDX, which conveniently we're getting in 2 weeks. So we actually have 3 luxury compact
RDX
cars
is a good
in a row.
car.
I'm excited to drive that.
The RDX is chuckable. It's it's fun to drive.
It looks good, nice colors on it, and great sound system. BMW X3. I'm actually not a huge fan of the styling of the X3. It's a little dopey looking to me.
Yeah, the new styling. Well, I like the new styling. I don't like the facelift of the new styling.
Fair enough.
Because the taillights just look horrible.
And they also have XC60 tied with all those.
So I'm guessing the GV70 is not even in this, because why would it be so low down? It's not.
How could they have not ranked it yet?
They haven't ranked the X4. Why?
Whoever's doing US News needs to get their shit. But Lincoln Corsair, you've driven one of those?
Yeah, I drove a Corsair with the 2-liter. I haven't driven a Corsair with the 2. Whatever, the bigger engine, 2.5 or
2.3 maybe.
2. 2.3. Well, whatever. The one I drove was the standard motor, but
it's a good car.
I liked that car.
Yeah.
It's like everything we hate about the Escape made better.
Yeah. And fortunately, Lincoln's differentiating themselves a little more from Ford, and you don't just feel like you're in a gussied up Escape.
No, it's
quite good.
It feels like its own thing now.
Audi Q5, which you already touched on.
I've never driven a Q5, so I guess
it's actually pretty decent.
I shouldn't say anything bad about it because I have not driven it, so I don't like to do that.
It is a little sleepy, like you said about Audis, but it's actually a pretty darn good motor, which surprised me because it's a 2-liter turbo, and that's why the 2-liter turbo in the A3 we had, I was surprised that it was so not good, because in the Q5 it was quite good.
Yeah.
But I think it's a different 2-liter turbo.
Probably. 2-liter turbo is such a broad term nowadays.
Really? Yeah.
Even within the same company and parent companies.
Exactly. Lexus NX, I'm surprised they have that at 7th, because it is quite good, but we're going to talk about that more today, because we have one that just got delivered out. The GLB, I've never driven a GLB.
I've never driven that either.
Buick Envision was not impressed.
Appropriately down there.
QX50, not good at all with the throttle tuning.
I hated the Buick Envision.
Yeah, I know.
That was just...
You hit the bump stops once and you were done with that car.
Yeah, and the steering wheel was like 6 inches thick. It was not fun to drive.
Have you driven a QX50 yet?
No, but I've driven the QX55.
Oh, same
which
thing.
is the same car.
Yeah.
Also dreadful.
Stelvio would be a pretty good option, but you'd never actually get to drive it because it would always be in the shop.
Well, you wouldn't want to own a Stelvio, right? The Stelvio is very pretty to look at. It would be fun to drive it on a press loan. You wouldn't want to own a Stelvio. Or would you? Would you want to own a Stelvio?
I'm actually curious. Have you considered, for those of you who don't know, Chris's significant other is in this market right now. Has she considered a Stelvio?
She has, and I told her no.
Might want to consider one. They're really not bad.
Yeah, but just the infotainment and
the infotainment's good. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but the screen is like curved, and it's a square inside the curved screen, and it just looks so bad.
Shouldn't own the car
it's not a touch screen, is it? It's like a Fisher Price, like screen is behind the plastic so you don't break it.
I think it is a touch screen, but it does have the rotary control, and the rotary control does feel quite cheap for that class.
I drove the Giulia, which it's got to have the same. It's the same thing. And while the Giulia was very good to drive, I was not a fan of the infotainment and just like livability things.
Be different.
I know.
And she's already in the FCA now Stellantis ecosystem.
I know. She could probably get a discount on one of those.
A hella discount. They don't have the Macan listed in here. But at least it shows us everything. The F-Pace. F-Pace is nice.
I like the F-Pace, yeah.
Discovery Sport, have not driven.
Oh, there's the Macan. Not yet ranked. What are they doing over there at that office? Because all of these cars have been out for a year.
Sounds like we need to leave Daily Motor and go get jobs at US News.
We could rank these in a week.
We can rank these very quickly. Yes. Do they have any jobs for cars?
Talent is our best asset. Yeah.
And they're not very good asset is ranking cars. We'd have to move to Washington, D.C., New York, or New Jersey. Where would you like to go? Oh, they're in the Flatiron building.
None of them. Well, wait, what are my choices?
D.C., New York, or Jersey?
New York City.
Yeah, I'd take New York City as well. Search, category. Those.
We just need to get a Mercedes Sprinter van and just drive around the country.
Yeah, just reviewing all the... Mm-hmm. Will Chris and I find new jobs today? Editorial, cars, features editor, autos in DC, and researcher. Would you like to be features editor or researcher, Chris? Or an intern?
Researcher.
Okay.
Does that mean I just drive cars around all day?
No, you probably look up like fuel economy. Let's see. As part of this job, you'll write SEO optimized new and used car review content, write and fact check monthly car deals content, employ SEO best practices to update and improve content and optimize content for search. And as part of this job, you'll please submit a resume and cover letter for consideration.
How much does it pay?
Probably about $45,000 a year. Well, maybe in DC it might pay a little more. And then the other job...
I didn't comprehend anything you just said, so I'm...
Other job is quite similar. This is features editor. Fact check and edit incoming stories from freelancers for editing.
Oh, so you don't even get to drive anything.
Probably not much. No. Collaborate with digital producers. Produce content. It does say produce content. Yep. Content calendar. Yeah. No, we could apply and say all we want to do is make it
rewrite your luxury SUV segment.
Yeah.
And then quit.
So it sounds like you'd still consider the GV70.
I would,
but
because that class is tough because it's not like anything you get in that segment is going to be like spectacular in every way. And like you said, it's none of those cars are really a necessity. None of them are going to be as good to drive as their car counterparts.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, the Genesis G70 is fabulous to drive, and
the 2.5. Oh, you're saying, sorry, G70.
G70, yeah. The GV70 is not bad to drive, but I would just get the 2.5 and it would be great.
Cool, and spend about $50,000 and be in a neat car.
Yeah, spend 50. I think that car is well worth $50,000. Yeah. No, I don't think 65.
Yeah. Enough. Okay, the other car we had was the Nissan Kicks, also white, although with a black roof.
What was the trim on that? SR. What is that? That's like the top trim, right?
Yep. There's SR, SV, and S.
Yeah, that car was nicely equipped.
Right. $25,000. We had heated steering wheel, heated seats. It had wired CarPlay and Android Auto.
It had lane keep assist, didn't it?
Not really. It had lane departure warning.
Yeah, lane departure warning.
Yeah. It did have adaptive cruise, which I did not use because I like it on 2-lane roads. I don't like it on the highway because as you're coming up behind someone. And I'm like, okay,
time to pass, and then it hits the brakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's most cars start slowing down too soon, and I don't want to sit in the left lane like an asshole. So I want to get up close behind them, then just make my turn real quick.
Yeah,
exactly. Plus, when we're doing the highway fuel economy test, we're trying to maintain a set speed, and I don't want to all of a sudden be doing 68 and not realize it and look down and be like,
oh, totally, yeah.
So I do often try to turn adaptive cruise off.
I use it. I just pay attention to make sure I don't skew results.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yep. And only occasionally miss your exit.
I did do that once. That was Doug DeMiro's fault because it was like 2 days before we were going to drive the Hummer, and I was like, I need to study to learn about the Hummer. And I'm sitting there I don't even remember what I was driving, but I was just sitting there driving, and I was listening to Doug.
K5 probably.
It was the K5. And passed my exit, but
it all worked out.
Charlie was my map and
mapped out the distance. And
everything was fine.
Yep. The way I put the Kicks was this. Someone who buys a Kicks is the same sort of person who you go out to a nice Mexican restaurant with, and the place has these great tacos they're known for. You could get Nitas, you could get
fried avocado.
You could get
barbacoa.
All these fancy, neat tacos that they have. Different corn tortillas, everything very authentic. And this person orders beef, shredded lettuce, and cheddar cheese, and I get 3 of them.
Surprised they even got lettuce.
All on flour tacos or shells, and you're like, come on, there's cooler options.
Yeah.
But he says to you, it's just what I like.
Yeah.
And you know what? You need to accept those people in your life. Some people, there's nothing wrong with taking pleasure in simpler things and not complicating your life. Maybe we're the ones wrong for having to go out of our way and try all these fancy dancy things just to be happy. So if someone in your life says that they like the Nissan Kicks or maybe a Rogue, you know what? Let them.
Yep.
Just, it's a good car. It's very spacious. It's slow, but realistically, when you're just driving, doesn't matter. It's a car.
Yeah.
It's not the most efficient, but it's not terrible.
Yeah. What did you get?
36, I think. 35, 34, maybe.
Okay. So about the same as a 400 horsepower BMW.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. I did say in the fuel economy test, if you're someone who's going to be driving a lot of distance, just get a sedan.
Yeah.
Just get a sedan. The way air resistance works is it's exponential with speed. So as you get going faster and faster, air resistance is getting much, much more dramatic. So if you're in something more aerodynamic like a sedan, you're going to notice much better fuel economy than a crossover at 75, but you might not really notice differences too much at like 45. So if you're going to be doing a lot of highway driving, don't listen to EPA ratings, just get yourself something sleek. I didn't care for the throttle tuning. It was a bit jumpy. I don't know if you noticed that at all when you had it. Yeah, you'd try to just ease off the line and it would kind of pull you back. Yep.
Yeah.
Also, it does have the fake shifts. Why? The fake shifting.
Oh, it does
CVT.
do fake shifting.
Yeah, even when I had foot to the floor, because I needed to be foot to the floor sometimes. And that car, 122 horsepower.
Is that it? I never looked up figures because I didn't do any talking videos for my time with it. But 122 horsepower. No, that's about what it feels like.
Yeah, it's slow.
That's realistic.
But when you're just putzing around town, it's fine.
It's very chuckable also.
Yeah.
I was hauling ass around roundabouts. Just...
Well, that's the fun thing is when you're in a car that has fairly cheap tires, it's a simple sort of machine, you know where your limit is much more clearly. Yeah. You can really exploit that. And that used to be what we called slow car fast.
Yes.
Kicks isn't exactly slow car fast because the CVT does not encourage any sort of sporty driving. The steering ratio doesn't really, but you can throw it and feel confident in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. That's another thing I kind of noticed while I was reviewing it. The car was remarkably solid feeling. Everything from the turn signal stalk to the steering wheel, it was beefy. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Chunky.
Yep. Yeah, I got almost added some new burns to my hands with that steering wheel because of how hot it gets. And it's either, you've got two settings, right? You've got Arctic Tundra, which is when you wake up in the morning, it's 30 degrees out and the steering wheel's freezing cold, or Surface of the Sun. That's it. There's no in between.
There's no in between. One time on Sunday, I was driving it and the sun was beaming in through the window onto my heated steering wheel. And I was driving with one hand on the other side for a while, and I reached to grab the side that I hadn't touched in a while that was in the sun. It was so hot. I was surprised that passes quality control.
It's so hot. Yeah. It's remarkably hot. There was another thing with that steering wheel, though.
It felt cheap. Like it wasn't even leather. Oh, yeah. No, I know what you're referring to. Which, I'm sorry, Nissan, it's obviously just a one-off sort of thing. But the steering, the little plastic trim piece, if you will, on the steering wheel, little accent, was already delaminating, kind of coming up unattached at 900 miles.
Yes. Yeah.
Quite sharp, too, if you hit it in the wrong way. But you managed not to get injured from either of those things.
I didn't get injured. But no, I honestly enjoyed my time with the Kicks. Just because if you want to talk about a car that's a good deal, all of those features in that car, it heated everything, we already touched on all this, but $25,000 for that car.
Well, and it is kind of
neat. It was like fully specced out, and it was $25,000.
The base model only starts at like 21, so it's a very narrow window.
Oh, really? That seems expensive for the base model. I guess unless you get.
But I mean, you get fine amount of things. But I just mean that like it's not like they walk you up $10,000 because like Ford Maverick, for example, starts at 20, but you could get one for like 35 if you put everything on.
Genesis GV70.
Exactly, just like that.
Add $25,000 in options to a $40,000 car.
Right. But no, even in top level trim, it's not like the Palisade or the GV70 or whatever where it makes sense cheaper, but it doesn't really make sense expensive. Yeah. The Kicks make sense at whatever price point you're going to get it at, which I think is kind of cool.
Also, Bose audio system with speakers in the headrest.
Yeah, not bad.
Was pretty cool.
I did end up giving it a C.
Really?
Because it sounds very good in the mid ranges, but you do have to admit, like if you tried to crank up bass or anything like that, there's no subwoofer. It's not remarkable.
Okay.
It's very much. It's like a C+. It was like average plus.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it sounded very good with some songs. Other songs, you're missing something. But it is surprisingly good because it has 2 speakers right in the headrest, and did you play around with changing how much those were? Yeah, it was car. The other thing is front wheel drive only, which I respect because first of all, you're not spinning any tires with 122 horsepower. But also it keeps the complexity down. It makes it so they didn't have to EPA certify as many models, anything like that. Like it's just all you really need is front wheel drive. Yep. You don't need all wheel drive.
And they call it an SUV, so it'll sell, but it's not an SUV.
It's a large hatchback.
It's a large hatchback.
Yeah. It's really pretty much what station wagons were, like smaller station wagons back 30, 40 years ago.
Like a Pinto wagon.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much
about the same size.
It's super cool. Yeah. Yep. Remarkably small fuel tank as well, 10.8 gallons. So it just you're down to like half a tank, and you're like, what?
I drove it like 50 miles, and it used like
a quarter tank.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of weird that they put such a small tank in there. Yeah. But if you want a Kicks, go and get a Kicks. If you want something better, get a CX-30 or a Taos. Yeah. Just don't get a CHR. I didn't like the CHR.
Okay. It did have a handbrake though, the CHR. Yeah.
So if you want to
that's what the Kicks was missing.
Is a handbrake?
If that Kicks had just like a normal like 8-speed automatic or literally any transmission besides a CVT and a mechanical handbrake, would be so much better. It would be so much fun.
If you want to impress the ladies with your subcompact SUV, buy the CHR.
Yeah, but you still have a CVT in that, so it's
the women standing on the street on the edge of the street as you handbrake turn into your parking spot won't know that it has a CVT.
Oh, that's outside. Right. Okay.
Yeah, as they're watching on their phones, texting.
Right.
This week.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Sorry. No, I was going to ask what you rated the GV70 sound system.
Well, I didn't review it this time because I had already reviewed it, but
last time would you
A tier? I'm pretty sure.
A, yeah, it's pretty good.
It's very good. Yeah. I think I did a members only test. Yeah, I did do a members only test this time right before.
Not as good as the GV80 though.
Yeah, a little bit below that, but still quite good. Yeah. Good range, and good amount of adjustability as well.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of A tier sound systems in here lately. The Jeep, the Land Rover. Haven't had anything to like quite blow us away in 2022 yet.
Yeah.
Got coming up that might.
iX
should hopefully be an S tier.
Because that's got the vibrating seats.
That doesn't actually, that's such a gimmick. That's like add anything.
I love
Mercedes
gimmicks.
had that too. The S-Class.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Burmester
much
4D.
More, well, we sat in an iX at the launch event.
It just surprised us in the iX because we didn't know
that's true,
it was there. We knew it was going to happen in the, our butts were prepared in the S-Class.
That car had an interior that looked like a peeled cow, like a King Ranch F-150 kind of.
Yeah, the iX is just a funky thing.
Very weird. My friends that live in North Carolina that work at the BMW store down there, they have actually already driven an iX and an i4. So they do.
We'll be getting them soon.
We'll have to see.
This week at DMHQ, we have the Lexus NX 350H.
Ooh, that's a good spec.
It's a great spec. Bright blue exterior.
I didn't get a Monroney in my email.
Yes, you did.
Nope.
I forwarded them both to you. I guarantee if you check right now.
Well, I got the email, but there's no Monroney.
Oh, touche. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. There's no Monroney. There's no Monroney.
It's not your fault. I'm just saying there was no Monroney on the email.
Okay. Lexus is moving to these big old badge across the back.
Kind of like Genesis.
Lexus. I don't care for that too much for Lexus, but whatever. They had a nice badge before. I don't know why they need.
I like that badge.
Interior has red in it. Red
That's
and black.
A good looking interior. Big screen.
Should be a nice car.
You went to the launch of this car, didn't you?
This car. Yeah. It's a good car. This is the first Lexus to include their new infotainment system, and it's worlds better.
Okay, good.
Than Lexus's previous. Lexus went from the worst to being one of the best.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're love the LC500, but the infotainment just brings it down from being the perfect car. Well, no, it doesn't. No, never mind. Forget what I just said.
You don't need the infotainment because
you just listen to the exhaust. You don't need the stereo in that car.
You don't need navigation because you just go wherever is the straightest, loudest road.
You just want to hear the rev limiter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you can see right there, you know what
A
that
volume
is?
knob.
It is a volume knob.
Sweet, they kept it.
They managed to keep knobs for the volume. So very good there. That'll be interesting to drive. This one has the 350h powertrain, meaning it is a hybrid. Classic 2.5 liter hybrid powertrain from Toyota. Should be a good car. I'm going to spend a lot of time in it, but you're going to get it first.
I have it for a couple days.
Yep.
Day and a half.
And
then I'm going to spend the rest of my week in the next car, which I've been talking about for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because I saw one on TikTok that had a muffler delete and it sounded sweet. And I've been asking Charlie ever since, hey, Charlie, can we get a
Kia Forte GT?
Yes.
Are we going to cut the muffs on this one?
Should.
Just like re-weld them before we get the car back.
Cut the muffs.
Yep. It is a Kia Forte GT. Kind of a sleeper car. The Forte EX and GT have always been a car that are really good sporty car alternatives that no one really pays attention to.
Yeah, so what does this like compete with? Like a
Civic Si. Yep. Elantra N-Line. Okay. Yeah, those sort of cars. GTI. They've always been slightly less powerful than those.
Yeah,
so it's kind of this weird in between. Yeah.
Nobody talks about this car.
Bring up the window sticker here. It's a 1.6 liter turbo with 201 horsepower.
Excellent.
So,
no, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's a good amount. 7-speed dual clutch.
Perfect. Okay.
18-inch wheels, sport tune suspension, sport tune dual exhaust, LED headlights, GT steering wheel for the sportiness.
Wireless just phone means charger. It's got a flat bottom.
This has the GT2 package. It's spec'd much like a Stinger has GT2.
GT2.
Multi-adjustable power driver's seat, electronic parking brake. Bummer.
Heated
and ventilated front seats. I mean, these are things that you can't even get heated seats in a Civic Si. Yet this one that's costs less than a Civic Si gets you a dual clutch automatic, heated and ventilated seats, adaptive cruise control, power seats, Harman Kardon premium audio, sunroof. I mean, you get a lot of stuff with this car for only $27,000 and a 5-year warranty. 10 years, sorry.
10 year.
Yeah.
10-year warranty.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's rated at 35 on the highway.
Right.
Does it take premium fuel?
It's a good question.
Probably. It probably does.
You probably should with something this. But I mean, it's kind of cool looking.
It looks good.
It's been facelifted. The rear is.
It's understated.
It's kind of some cool red accents down there.
God, those exhaust tips are large.
Yes, they are large and in charge. Interior is a tad boring. Kia interiors typically are. Yeah, but it's there.
I like that steering wheel, though. It's like the one that was on the Stinger.
It'll have a long way to go to compete with the chassis of the Civic Si, but this might be something that, again, total sleeper. Does not have the pedigree of a Civic Si and kind of that
or like
cred.
A Fiesta ST.
Yeah. Geez,
it's nice that we have other options from Korea now, like this, the Veloster N, the Elantra N.
Yep.
Other GT, K5 GT, whatever, because the Americans cut us off. So,
although we may be getting a Maverick ST, which will help.
That's right. Yeah, I just got a spy shot of a Maverick with some big exhaust tips. So,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
I think stupid for them not to.
I think it would be pretty cool. Yeah. But the question is, what will they do for the gearbox?
Well, what's in some of their what's in the Edge ST?
Like a 7-speed or some weird.
Maybe they'll put
stick shift.
Ford EcoBoost 10-speed.
They have potential.
I don't trust Ford with transmissions.
Neither do I. They have potential to do this really well.
Yeah.
But will they do it well? And then will you be able to purchase one?
There you go. And there's the other question.
Because they'll make like 7 of them, and they'll be like, "Oh, more than 7 people wanted this car."
Wow, couldn't have predicted that.
Couldn't have predicted that.
Right.
We made something this good, this cheap, this efficient, and people actually want to buy it. Wow.
We're Ford. We don't know fucking anything. It should be a good week. It'll be 2 cars. It'll be kind of fun in their own ways, and not both gray, fortunately. Worried the NX would be gray as well, and it'd be a gray car week.
No, but we're back on this red streak again, though.
Red? Oh, red interior.
Red interior in the NX. This week we had red interior in the GV70. What cars did we have before that? There's always a red. There's always a red component.
Red element. We had the A3 which was...
That was white. Oh, and the Defender was brown that broke the streak. Well, we're back on the streak now, week 2.
You could at least set the ambient lighting in the inside of the A3 to be red.
To be red, yeah, there you go.
Cool. Chris, you have some Copart stuff for us.
I'm so excited to show you this car because I know you're just going to place a bid on it as soon as it comes up.
No.
And it goes tomorrow, so.
I should let you all know that I did lose the Nissan Leaf that I had bid on. I have not won any.
No, this is better. Because of the color. Okay, are you ready for the lot number?
Yep.
411-656-82.
Drum roll. We have... Oh, no.
It's fine. It's hit high up.
It's a 2008 Ford Escape Hybrid in green. Lime-ass green.
Look at the mileage.
329,000 miles.
Runs and drives. It's fine.
Drives.
But you put a core support and a hood on it and a headlight.
It's pure sale, too. There's no reserve.
Yeah, and there's no bids on it, and it goes tomorrow.
We got a bid on it, Chris.
You could just drive it back.
Yeah, this looks 100% drivable.
Yeah,
What's the interior look like?
It's hit super high up.
Is that leather?
Yeah.
Oh, and it's got the touchscreen.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a great car. You are right that I will.
That is a factory super early sync system in that.
It is unfortunate that this is a 2008 because in 2009 the hybrid system was better. 2008 hybrid system, if I'm not mistaken, is actually essentially the same system that was in the previous Gen Escape. But it's still good. Don't get me wrong. It's just not quite as efficient. But yeah, what's the lowest bid you can do? Does it have to be $325?
Why don't you try and bid $15?
I guess maximum bid $30. At least $325. So pretty much I have to spend at least $500 on this car after fees.
Is it worth it to you? What's retail value? $3,776. That's probably pretty accurate for when it's fixed. Maybe like $4,000.
Do they show they don't show the gauge cluster really,
Nope, they just zoom in to make you guess what warning lights are on.
Let's take a quick peek at the auto check report. Thank you for asking.
Isn't it funny how a robot asks you if you're a robot?
33 on the auto check score out of 100.
How many owners do we think it's had? Oh, hold on.
Is it one
it's a
owner?
One owner car. Oh, you have to buy it, Charlie. It's only had one owner.
Wow, someone bought this in 2007 and proceeded to put 300,000 miles in the same seat. Bought in Saline, Michigan. We could probably, if we asked enough questions, we could probably figure out who owned this car.
We could, yeah, because Saline would be
Briarwood Ford.
Briarwood Ford, yeah.
Probably sold at Briarwood Ford, and we probably know, like, hey, have you seen a bright green Escape driving around here? Like, just ask our friends who live in Saline. They can probably narrow it down for us. And then the heat...
Or we could just walk in and ask for the service records, and they'd have the previous owner's name.
They probably would, yeah. They probably would let us do that. Oh, it was impact with an animal. That makes total sense that it was just hit a deer.
Which probably jumped.
Yeah.
The deer was probably in midair as they hit it there.
This is going to go for more than $325.
Animal hits are always good cars to buy because it's usually like high up damage and it doesn't mess with the frame.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Is that a hitch?
Oh,
it's got a hitch on it.
Big
Chris,
hitch.
This is my car.
And it's got parking sensors.
This is perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Alyssa, you're going to have a new car if you're listening. We're going to go $325 for our first bid. Maximum bid $500. Right, we are winning a 2008 Ford Escape hybrid electric vehicle.
All right.
Oh wow, you can click something that says mistyped bid. So can you like?
Oh, you can probably recall it.
Recall it very quickly like that.
Probably, yeah.
That's good to know.
All right. Nice that they do that.
Well, it goes up tomorrow, so please remind me tomorrow morning if remind me at like 9:50 that I have a vehicle coming up.
Okay.
Does it show
I'm
you
awake.
Lot number? No, it doesn't. Oh, 30. So it's going to go fairly early as well. Cool. So you have more for us?
I've got another one for you.
All right.
Also related to you. 363-383-32. And unfortunately, it's damaged in the area that you would benefit from.
Oh, no. So it's a 2022 Ford Maverick XL that has been what we like to call around here ass-packed.
Yeah. Cactus gray.
Yeah, cactus gray. Alyssa saw one of these, a cactus gray Maverick yesterday. 2 days ago, and she was like,
yeah, it looks good on there. I mean, that's essentially your truck. They have it listed as an XL, but it's an XLT.
oh yeah, that's right.
And it has the same wheels as yours, same interior.
It means it's an FX4.
Yeah.
Can't tell anymore.
Should be an FX4.
Yeah, you can see the F in FX4.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Because
Does it have 4K tow? It's got a hitch on there.
That's kind of hard to tell because you could get a hitch without 4K tow. You could get a full size hitch. But
well, this is very similar to your truck.
Yes. They're already asking $10,000 for it, but it goes up in a day.
The bid is up there.
Yeah.
Reserve's been met though. Pure sale.
Okay. There are a good amount of Mavericks showing up on Copart already, which makes me sad because that means that people like waited, they finally got their truck, and then they got ass packed.
I always feel the most sad when I see new Fords on Copart because I know how horrible and like how long it takes to get a Bronco, a Maverick, even a Bronco Sport, anything that you're ordering from Ford, and then you see them on Copart and they've got like 1,000 miles on them and they're crashed, and it's just like that. That's just so sad. Like I wouldn't wish that upon anyone.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else?
Let's see. Yeah, we'll show this one too. Okay. I might bid on this one tomorrow, depending. 671-433-11.
Ooh, it is a 2001 Lexus RX 300.
Yeah,
that is some minor front end damage. Looks like the bumper's been sat on by a large.
Yeah, so this is a first gen Lexus RX. It's a 2-owner car. It was purchased new in Florida, surprise, surprise. And then it came to Michigan in 2005, and it's been with the same owner for 16 years. Let's see. I'm on the auto check right now. What was the accident? They hit another vehicle.
Huh.
Yeah.
They hit another vehicle, and then that vehicle kind of like pulled forward and pulled the bumper with it.
Yeah, probably like hit a truck and... But
yeah, that'd be a good little.
I've always been curious about these because I've just heard that they're excellent. So,
speaking of that, it's probably already gone by now because it was such a great deal. In fact, there was a 2008 RX 450h, the hybrid, at the dealership down this way. I think it's the BMW dealership in Ann Arbor.
Oh, BMW. Okay.
And it had a lot of miles, but they only wanted like $4,000 for it. It was a remarkably good deal. Lexus.
Maybe it was broken.
Broken.
It was a Lexus, so it was probably fine.
Yeah. Bummer. Yeah, it was really neat. It was while you were in Florida. I honestly had considered going over and checking it out. Well, good deals come and go.
Yep.
Anything else car related that we want?
Classic car and driver magazines.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was actually considering reading to you and the listeners the Escape from Baja sedan portrait test.
Yes, yeah, you were telling me about this.
Sure, it's a little lengthy, but any of you, if you want to tune in, I'm going to read it. Chris,
Storytime.
Do you need a water or anything like that?
Sit back and relax. No, I'm ready.
Okay, so for those of you with a little bit of background, it's a classic car and driver story from the July 1983 issue of Car and Driver. I'm just going to start right out. This affair began as an honest attempt to evaluate 8 sedans in the European idiom over a 2,300-mile route between Southern California and the tip of Baja, California in Mexico. Decent, responsible automotive journalism. Road and Track does this high-adventure stuff all the time. On more than one occasion, they have encountered overcooked cheeseburgers and canceled motel reservations. It even rained once. As for us, it got a little more complicated. In retrospect, that was to be anticipated when you consider that our widely esteemed technical director, Donald Sherman, organized the campaign. Chris, you've heard of Don Sherman before, haven't you? I've mentioned him a few times around you. He lives over in Belleville. He's quite an interesting character.
He been here?
He was here for like our very first open house.
He's a Corvette?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
He told me he was the landlord.
Yes. Yeah. He likes to. He's an eccentric guy and always has
very
been.
Dry sense of humor.
Very dry. Yep. So he put this all together.
Cool.
Before the mission was completed, the hapless followers of Sherman faced bouts of the Turistas, numerous encounters with the Mexican federales, a high-speed collision with a cow, floods, maroonings, the deep sixing of a Datsun Maxima, and the consumption of more high-octane tequila and stomach-scouring Mexican food than any collection of Americans since Blackjack Pershing chased Pancho Villa. But let's not carry this military analogy too far. If our Sherman, and not William Tecumseh, had devised the original March to the Sea, Richmond, Virginia would be the capital of the United States and Jesse Helms would be president. So be warned that what follows is no normal meander over tick byways in search of automotive truth. This, Bucky, was a freaking war. Day 1, Sunday. We leave Newport Beach, yes, we know, in the midst of the 49th monsoon to hit Southern California this year. Ugly nimbus clouds roll in off the sea. There are 10 of us, high-type professionals all. There are 8 automobiles, 2 American, a Pontiac 6000 STE and a Dodge 600 ES, 2 Japanese, a Datsun Maxima and a Toyota Cressida, and 4 from Europe, where this brand of machine was born, a new Audi 5000S, a Volkswagen Quantum, a Saab 900 Turbo, and a Volvo 760 GLE. Alphanumerics back then.
You know what's funny? I've never heard of either of the American cars mentioned, but I've heard of all of the other cars.
Right? Euro sedans, 4 doors, priced between $10,000 and $20,000, bracketed by the likes of the Honda Accord on the low side and the BMW 528e on the high. The mission, a 2-day, 1,150-mile America versus the world run to Cabo San Lucas at the tip of Baja, then a 1-day layover in the sunshine and 2 days back. Our destination today is an oasis in the central Baja desert called San Ignacio. Reaching the border is simple. Our one nod to preparation is a supermarket stop to grab some bottled water. Otherwise, we exit the United States with the same level of preparation one might employ for a trip to the Kmart. No tools, lights, or first aid kits. When other magazines go to Baja, they've outfitted like the Africa Corps, but we have one trump card, a childlike faith that our leader will bring us through. Chunky Guard waves us into Mexico at Tijuana. The 4-lane to Hacienda is packed with tightly radiused curves. Ancient Volvo wagon with California plates races us at 80 to 90 miles per hour all the way to Ensenada, but none of our 8 cars is even breathing hard as we stop for lunch. Our next encounter with Mexican officialdom comes in the parking lot of Husong's Cantina, where one of the least civilized members of our group, Yates, is arrested for recycling several liters of Dos Equis against a wall. Lindamood, the only one among us who speaks any Spanish, gets the culprit off with a $10 fine by denouncing him to the cops as a pig.
What?
We plunge into fast, twisty 2 lanes south of Ensenada. Route 1 rides high along some splendid seacoast vistas towards San Quintin, and then bores inland to the mountains at El Rosario. We wonder, but say nothing about customs. Having blasted past the place where, there's so many names that I've got to stumble through here, where Manadero checking station was supposed to be, continue without the faintest authorization to penetrate so deeply into the nation. No matter. The cars are running well, the night is cloudless, and the road is clear save for the occasional bus and the odd battered pickup. Our only glitch comes when we switch cars in the darkness. Several of the party, seeking naps, double up. We drive away, leaving the Maxima and the Quantum at the roadside, and have to race back 15 miles to retrieve them. The fact that Sherman detected the error so quickly means that his plan is working to perfection.
What?
For a little context, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, automotive journalism was such a smaller and more prestigious role, because you couldn't just hop on YouTube like Chris and I have done here and create a channel out of nothingness. I mean, you had to have publishers and advertisers, and there were really only 4 main magazines that existed in any capacity, and these were pseudo celebrities, especially. I mean, imagine if like DeMiro, Camisa, the Top Gear guys, and I don't know, like Rady's Rides were the only 4 outlets that existed. And everything went through them. They got any cars they asked for and anything. So these guys would party hard. They would literally have long-term vehicles that they'd put thousands of miles on every week because they were just constantly driving all the time. There wasn't the having to pump out 4 or 5 articles every day just to like get paid their meager wage. Like they were royalty. So when they'd go on these sort of events, like they just fucked around. They really and here's a perfect example. They had 8 cars and some of them were tired, so they just hopped in the back of others and forgot 2 of the cars on the side of the road. Day 2, Monday. Is B Travern, I don't know these references, is B Travern running a haberdashery in San Ignacio? Mr. Davis Jr. is wearing a snap brim felt hat, last seen on Walter Huston in The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. For any of you who don't know, Davis Jr., that was the editor-in-chief of Car and Driver at the time. The tiny dust-caked village sits in a basin clustered with date palms planted by the Spaniards when the Jesuits started their mission here in 1728. We take a leisurely tour of the ancient stone church before rolling south. Empty roads beckon. Speeds rise. Large signs warn designated to promote economic development, not for high-speed driving, but make little impression. Nor are we slowed by the curvas peligrosas, which are generally punctuated by burned-out car hulks, rumpled guardrails, and coveys of handmade crosses. Stray cattle begin to appear at the roadside. Spavined beasts that pay no heed to the passing vehicles. The immense steel bumpers on the big Dina trucks we pass begin to assume a meaningful function. We switch cars, and impressions begin to gel. Sherman, Chetta, Cepos, and Griffin are delighted with the new Audi, despite its slightly sterile aura. Committed traditionalist P.J. O'Rourke reveals a quiet loathing for front-drive cars and extols the rather zany handling of the amply powered Cressida. A schoolmarm with a harlot's heart. Man, we really need to start adding some more colorful language into our vocabulary. Yes. Yeah. Yep. The Pontiac and Dodge are pleasant surprises. Who can remember a Detroiter that would absorb such extended hard driving without frying its brakes, boiling its coolant, and loosening up like a cheap toy? The Volvo, which appears to have been styled from an old Ampa upright freezer, may entice Electra 225 devotees. Saab and the Maxima charge along with terrier-like enthusiasm, while the Quantum, for all its quiet competence, becomes the wallflower of the group. They all look the same to me. Every car.
Yeah, those cars, it looks like 4 pictures of the same car.
They really do. We're ambushed by the cops in La Paz. They want to look closer at our new cars. Lindemood, this is Jean Lindemood, the one woman on the trip, is brilliant as she aborts impending arrest by demonstrating the Datsun's idiotic synthesized voice to the awestruck lawman. It is a black night in the mountains. Our little convoy is rushing the final miles to Cabo San Lucas, when Chetta nails a cow. He center punches a 500-pound black steer at maybe 60 miles per hour. Protein for the people. One wounded Dodge 600 ES, but thankfully no other injuries. We grope in the lonely darkness to assess the damage. The hood is shredded, the roof is dented. The car runs happily, but the radiator is ruptured. Push the car 60 miles, primarily with the purposeful Audi, to our hotel. Angry guests blunt our beachfront attempt to celebrate our arrival. Just pushed it with the other press car. Yeah, why not? Day 3, Tuesday. Too much sun, too many pina coladas, but good news. The Dodge survives. Sans hood, it is ready for the run back home. Lindemood and Cepos fall to the dreaded Turistas. Track versus torture testing. I think this is a brief aside to the story,
so
if you will.
They went to Mexico.
Yep.
Drove like hell for 2 days. Hit a cow.
Yep.
Partied.
Literally pushed the car to 60 miles to their hotel and partied for all of the day. Yep. This is what, like, when you've been mentioning we should go get like a rental in LA for a week or something to test drive other cars.
Yeah.
So essentially what they did. I mean, they made trips out of these stories.
Yeah.
They really did.
That's cool. That's a glimpse into what automotive journalism was like in the 80s.
Exactly. I think we can skip this section. It's still worth reading, but it's kind of like an aside written by one of the other It was actually written by Don Sherman, talking more about the testing of the vehicles and how they felt, things like acceleration, that sort of deal. And kind of relating how the track testing relates to actual on-road performance.
Gotcha.
Day 4, Wednesday. On the road before dawn, heading back to San Ignacio, the Dodge is gaining fans by the hour. Hard driving in the mountains reveals an interesting fact. The automatic transmission cars, the Volvo, the VW, and the Pontiac, can be driven as quickly and more easily than the 5-speeds. Ominous clouds build in the north. Federales nail us north of Laurento. Suspicion about the Dodge's missing hood is our downfall. The cop is a young, round-faced kid in a clapped-out Dodge Cruiser with bald tires. His girlfriend is riding shotgun. The cop wants to see a report on the cow collision, but we have none. This is not a good situation. We deploy Sherman and Lindemood in the 600 ES for the drive back to Laurento with the Federale, the rest of which is them saying they got arrested. The rest of us head north to a rendezvous in San Ignacio. It is raining seriously now, and the vados, low spots in the road meant to allow flash floods to run off, are beginning to puddle. The storm hits as we arrive at the La Pinta Hotel in San Ignacio. The wind pounds at the palm trees. The rain hammers on the roof. We toast our lost comrades who may be rotting in a Laurento calaboza by now with numerous tequilas and beers. Sherman and Lindemood arrive late. Because of the power outages, they have had to scavenge gas twice to get the Dodge home. The Federale adventure turned to comedy. Lindemood ended up driving the patrol car and manicuring the cop's girlfriend's nails, while Sherman repaired a copy machine for the cop. Weirdness in the Mexican desert has cost a meager $50 fine. Day 5, Thursday. A pre-dawn escape is attempted. It is still raining. Sherman is back in command. He should have tried U-boats. 15 miles north of town, he crests a hill and skates into a storm-swollen vado. We arrive a few moments later. Our headlights probe into the darkness to reveal the Maxima awash in turbulent water. Sherman has slogged ashore, mumbling about a lack of channel buoys. We are marooned in San Ignacio. Vados have flooded on both sides of the town. Aaron Kiley, who is the photographer, is briefly stranded between two gully washers while taking pictures. The poor Maxima is hauled out of the water and towed back to the hotel. A dry out will be attempted, but the fuel injection's brain has gurgled its last. Our only alternative is more food and drink in a terrific little restaurant called Quichole, while we wait for the creeks to quit rising. So they literally just drove the Maxima into a giant flooded out road and killed it.
How did they get it back to...
We're getting there.
Okay.
Roll through more of the testing. Day 6, Friday. The parking lot floods, and we move the cars. Save for the drowned Maxima, they are running well. Pontiac has developed an antipathy to the urine-quality Mexican gasoline, and the Cruzetta's dash has a faint tick, but otherwise the machines have resisted every sort of abuse we could heap on them. More may be demanded, however. Word filters in that the road north is devastated. Weeks may pass before we can escape. Past the tequila. Day 7, Saturday. Now, mind you, this was supposed to be a 5-day trip. We devise a crafty plan. Other thing to mind you, this was majority of the car and driver staff. I mean, there are 8 of them on this trip, and there couldn't be more than maybe 10 editors, 8 to 10 editors. This was like the entire staff being outside of like assistants. We devise a crafty plan. There is a backcountry trail out of town. It meanders through the garbage dump and over the desert to join the highway. We will double back to La Paz and evacuate by airplane. Our refugee party is joined by Dick Ryan, Baja veteran, ace dove hunter, and retired Northwest Airlines pilot, who, with his wife Jody, is trying to return to Santa Barbara. Old Mexican named Luis, who wants to get to... Luis, good call. Who wants to get to Santa Rosalia, is our guide. The 7 remaining cars, the Maxima is left behind, scramble tentatively over the rocky trails. Finally, we are free of San Ignacio, and the road is clear and dry. The Federales run us down one more time, threatening a 2-day impoundment arrests us for our 100-mile-per-hour daisy chain and big fines. But Jody Ryan, who is fluent in Spanish, excuse me, and one salty lady, hectors them down to 200 pesos, which is about 14 US dollars. Let's hear it for police corruption. After a shower at the Los Arcos Hotel and one last assault on Mexican cuisine, we make a lucky feint past the custom officials and board an Aeromexico flight to Los Angeles. Now, all we've got to do is figure out what to do with 8 stranded automobiles.
They left them there.
Epilogue. 10 days later, Sherman and 6 assistants flew back to La Paz to liberate the cars. The flood tide had subsided, and the roads were generally in excellent shape. 2 days of driving put the survivors back on American soil. The ill-fated Maxima was trailered to civilization. There was no further contact with the Federales, and the feared confrontation at the border failed to materialize.
Well, 6 of the cars made it back without being destroyed.
I know from background that they left the Maxima in Mexico and just called Nissan and said, here it is. Keys are in it. It's in Mexico. It doesn't run. And when Nissan called them back in the future after getting their message, Sherman said, just don't respond. They just never addressed it. Called a few more times and they just blew them off.
So Nissan trailered it back.
Nissan must have figured out what to do with it. Yeah.
Because they said it was trailered back.
Trailered to civilization.
Oh.
Not back to the States. Yeah. Pretty darn crazy, huh?
We should do this.
Yeah, that's all I think it is. Yeah, can you imagine? At this day and age, you'd have to buy your own cars to do it. There's no way you could
get press cars.
Yeah, pushing press cars. In fact, when you read press loans and they say a car can't be driven to Mexico, this story is why.
Really?
Mm-hmm. This was like the huge impetus for not being able to take cars to Mexico. Yeah, it's absolutely worth a read. Go ahead and look up on Car and Driver. There's every editor who was on the trip did their own like side piece to it, talking about the cars. Some of them are a little more boring, but they actually have like a final tally of which car they'd pick. I think, spoiler alert, what did they end up going with? Yeah, the Dodge 6000 STE.
So the car that completed most of the trip with no hood and a smashed roof is the one that they chose.
No, I think it's Pontiac. The Pontiac's new 6000 STE is a dandy. It nips at the heels of the Audi coming and going. It is the only other car in our group to rate above average in all 9 categories. We knew we liked the STE, but frankly, we're pleasantly surprised at the degree of its success.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that car looks like.
It
probably like a black and white box.
Here. It has boxes in boxes. Boxes for the headlights, boxes for the grille, and the whole. Yeah, so next time you think we're being a little adventurous by hitting up Hollyoaks or Silver Lake, jumping a TRX or something, just remember that this is...
Remember that he could have drove a Maxima into a lake in Mexico and left it there. And
Shubba told me one time that they were trying to dry out the ECU of that car with hair dryers in the hotel bathroom. They removed it from the car and were actually trying to resurrect it, and they weren't able to. He said it ran a little bit, but just so shitty. Pretty neat.
So was their relationship with Nissan ruined after that?
Probably not. They were Car and Driver. They were the kings. I mean, literally, Car and Driver, Road and Track, Motor Trend. And there were some smaller ones, like the kind of like, there was Automobile started later than this.
Yeah.
And then there were things like Hot Rod and those sort of things, but those did more like tuner cars and stuff. Like, maybe I'm missing one, but Road and Track, Car and Driver, Motor Trend, those were like the 3 main things of the deal. You got it. Like anything they wanted.
Oh,
so,
all right then.
Thank you all for tuning in to this lengthy version of the Daily Motor Podcast.
And I would like the story time with Charlie.
Nice. Story time with Charlie. I would like to get some of these people in on the podcast, like Don Sherman and stuff, and go through stories like this and actually hear the backgrounds. Like Chris and I were just flipping through some of these old Car and Drivers, and we're reading a story on testing driving while high. So the editors actually smoked and then did a circuit track. And kind of talked about their findings, and I'd love to get Rich in. And actually, I don't think it was Rich. Rich did the drinking one. That was a different editor. I can't remember. It might have been PG or Work who did that one. But get them in and hear the behind the scenes, because they have so many like cool stories that either couldn't be published or just didn't get published or whatever about those. So someday. But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Charlie and Chris with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on, but not to Mexico.
Especially in a Datsun Maxima.
Yeah.